All right, continuing on, I'm going to be letting you do problems 6, 7, and 8. You do need to think about with 6 and 8 that these are in standard form, or I'm sorry, I want you to put them in standard form, and they are currently in vertex form. So when you do these problems to go from, just a second, from vertex form to standard form, and actually that was up here. Hold on a second. That to go from vertex form to standard form, that you need to remember that that parentheses squared means there are two of them, and then you'll be doing the neighbors here as well. So when you start problem 6, for instance, from vertex form to standard form, that there are two x plus 5s, and then you'll need to make sure that all of these neighbors here meet, and then at the very end, bring in that subtracting 2. So the bell's going to ring, just a heads up. Let's go into solving and go through some of these. So just important things you need to remember when solving. How do you know when to use inverse operations? That's that. Inverse operations, that's PEMDAS backwards. You do that when there is one type of x, okay? One type of x. You're going to factor in quadratic when there's more than one type of x. And you want to start with factoring, and if that doesn't work, then you go to the quadratic formula. How do you know if a quadratic is factorable? One, you're gonna see if your x works. If it doesn't work, then you're going to do the quadratic formula. So x equals opposite b plus or minus. Don't forget that part. A big square root, and then it's b squared minus, not times, 4 times a times c, and then everything, all of it is over 2a divided by 2a. It doesn't matter how you say that. And remember, you're going to get a because that's the number in front of x squared. You're going to get b because that's the number in front of x. And then you're going to get c, which has no x with it. When do you need to use a number line to determine your final solution? When you see that alligator, you need to see where your alligator is happening. And what are the two ways to solve a system of equations? We, in the first chapter, used our graphing calculator, and here we're going to solve it algebraically. And we just did 2 of these on that page the other day. You'll want to make sure that both problems are in the form y equals everything, and then you can set the 2 equations equal to each other. All right, so let's just walk through some of these, see how they go. So starting with number 9, I need to solve. What I'll look for, one type of x or more than one type of x. There is one type. So I will be working backwards in the order of operations. The first thing I want to look for is the addition or subtraction that I should move. That's this 200. So now I have 2x squared equals 200. After that, I want to use my multiplication or division. So I'll be dividing by 2, which gives me 100. And then to get rid of that exponent, I will use that square root. And this is where we can get the multiple answers. The square root of 100 is 10, because 10 times 10 is 100. But it's also going to be negative 10 because negative 10 times negative 10 is that 100. And that's it. There is no alligator. These are your only 2 answers. So let's take a look at number 9. Number 10. I'm going to get you started. There's also one type of x, so I'm going to move my addition subtraction first. So I'll be adding 1. And that's going to leave me with negative 4 on this side. And then I'm going to multiply or move my multiplication division. There is a fraction, so to get rid of a fraction, the easiest way is to multiply by the reciprocal. And those cancel each other out, so I'll come over to this side and multiply by the reciprocal, but I'll just use a 2 instead of 2 over 1. And clean that side up. Now to get rid of that exponent, I will use the root. I'll use a cube root. And when you take the cubed root of -8, you get -2, because -2 times -2 times -2 is -8. It will not be 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 is a positive 8. So this one only has one answer. And then I'm going to let you finish from there. Number 11 and 12, these both have more than one type of x. So what I'm going to want to do is try to factor. And if I can't factor, then I'm going to use the quadratic formula. And the same on 12. I'm going to try to factor. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to use the quadratic formula. All right, so just jumping back to number 11, because I'm going to leave number 12 up to you. When I do the quadratic formula and I get to this radical, this is the problem we had in our quiz. And I just want to walk you through the radical part. So this is 4 minus, and I want to do my multiplication first. So when I multiply 4 and 1 and -5, I get -20. And then when I take 4, take away -24, or -20, I get a positive 24. So what we're looking for on the test is for you to be able to get to here. And that's it. I think it would be great if you realize that 24, although not perfect, has factors that are. And you could turn this into 2 plus or minus, and the square root of 4 would become the 2 that I'm writing down. And that would be great. And if you can go even one step further and look for that simplifying triangle that I mentioned, and that you can divide all of those by 2 and get this would be the best answer to go for. All right, number 12, you will be able to factor. Just when you're done and you get your factors, don't forget to set those factors equal to 0 and solve. All right, we're going to walk through 2 of the inequality problems. So I see alligators all 4 problems, so I will be testing to see if my alligator is happy. And we're going to do 1 squared and we're going to do 1 cubic problem. So I'm going to be doing 15 and 16 with you. So 15 is one type of x. I'm going to draw my wall. If you want to switch this to an equal sign as we go through this, you can. We will get to the inequality, when we test the alligator. So first thing I'm going to do, one type of x. I look for addition, subtraction to move. There is some, but it's in the parentheses, so I'll get that later. I'll move my 2 through division, so I'm dividing the left side by 2. And I'm dividing the right side by 2. And now to get rid of this exponent of 3, I will cube root, and that's going to leave me with x minus 5 on this side. And just like before, the cube root of -8 is -2. There is no 2 because 2 times 2 times 2, 2 cubed is 8, and I need -8. And now to get x by itself, I'm just going to add 5, and when I'm done, I get 3. So now I need to see, where is the alligator happy? So I only have one number to test, and I'm going to, I can test 0, which is over here. And so if I do that, I'm just putting 0 in. And I start with my parentheses, that's -5. Then after parentheses, I exponent. So the -5 cubed is -125. And then 2 times -125 is -250. And now I just want to see, is the alligator happy? Is -250 less than -16? And yes, that is true. So the alligator wants to be over here. And so now I'm going to write my answer as that inequality, and my alligator, who is this x, wants to be to the left or smaller than 3. And that's it. There were not 2 numbers. When I do 16, there is more than one type of x, so I'm going to have to factor. And I can't factor unless it's set to 0. So I'm going to subtract that 5 over. And if you want to switch that into an equal sign for now, you can. So I need factors of -5 that get me to -4, and that's going to be a -5 and 1x. I will do this the longer way, so it's x squared. I'm going to rewrite -4x as these 2 terms. And then once I have the 4 things, I will group the first 2 and the last 2, and now I'm going to GCF my first set of parentheses. So I can factor an x out and get x minus 5, and I'll have my matching set of x minus 5. And so what am I factoring out of this set of parentheses? I have to factor something out, so that's a 1. And my two parentheses are x plus 1 and x minus 5. So now I solve, I set these each equal to 0. And for this answer, once I subtract 1, I get -1. I set this equal to 0, I add 5, and I get 5. So I'm going to move into the box above. There is an alligator. We do want to see where he's happy. And I'm going to test 0, which is right in between these two numbers. And I'm just going to come to this original problem and do that. So when I put 0 on the left side, I end up with 0. And then the right side is just 5. So now I want to see, is 0 greater than 5? No, that is not true. So the alligator would rather be here and here. So when I write my answer, the alligator, who is x, would rather be to the right or greater than 5, and the alligator would rather be to the left or less than -1. So the inequalities that I wrote are the answer. The picture is not the correct or final answer, I should say. All right, let's keep moving right along. All right, I'm gonna have to be pausing here for a moment because I cannot see my recorder. So give me a moment. I'm trying to figure out what happened to